Alright, my next review in the series of neat stuff I got last year is this 007 sword inspection mode metal build figure from a company called Metal Gear. This is a knockoff of Bandai's original metal build 007 sword, and the box is similar in style. I don't think the picture is exactly the same, but the sides are similar in how it depicts the figure. Pictures on the back of what it can do. The place I got it stuck a label on it, which kind of sucks. But that's the box. It has a set of instructions, much like the Bandai, the instructions that come with the Bandai figure. Nothing special. I'm not going to go into it. Black and white. Photos of what the figure can do, but here it is, and it's pretty good. I don't think I can say too much bad about it. It is a straight up copy, done in red, of Bandai's original Metal Build 7 sword. Now, I do not own the original 7 sword, although I did at one time, so I'll do some comparisons from memory. But I also own Bandai's most recent version of the 007 sword G, so I can compare it to that. And yeah, we'll see. The main difference is that the new version comes with the gun here. But let's start with some of the accessories, because these things have a lot of accessories. The stand that it comes with is identical to the Bandai one as far as I can remember, except done in blue. If we compare it to the new 7 sword G, you'll see the only difference is that these little logos for what weapons, what 7 swords are, it has an additional one for the gun. Other than that, these are identical. The finish on them is pretty similar. I would not have guessed. Handling them, you wouldn't think this was a knockoff. It's the same quality. It has the same kind of adjustable arm that plugs into it with its telescoping bits and adjustable things. Again, being an exact duplicate, it comes with all of the same accessories that the original 7 sword did, and that this comes with as well. It's got a little stand adapter. It's got a little adjustable arm thing that can hold him by the waist, or maybe the weapon or something. It has a little plastic stand and 2 arms of differing lengths for resting the sword on in poses where the arm would not be sufficient to hold it up. It has 2 beam saber blades compared to these. It's not that it has a different sheen, it's that it's darker. It's a darker plastic. But other than that, they're pretty identical. It's got a plethora of hands. It's got this little doohickey that can be used on the swords to make it a double-bladed staff thing, I guess. We can get into that later, maybe. Comes with a bendy wire for the short GN sword. It has 3 of these little adapters, which connect to the sides of the GN drive so that you can angle the sword in different ways on his arm. So it comes with okay, I lied, it comes with 2, because the sword just plugs directly in to be straight vertical. You can angle it forward or back, or put it on either shoulder. Just flip it around here, demonstrate that if I was not quite so clumsy. There, now it's on his other arm. Comes with a plethora of hands. You got fists, you got the regular holding hands, which is what I have on him right now, sort of gun grip hands. You've got splayed open hands, which I haven't removed from the package yet. Is that going to show up yet? And then the more angled forward sword grip hands. Because this was Bandai's first release in the 00 metal build line, they hadn't done a true 00 figure yet, so it came with a few, the 7 Sword came with a few pieces to make that figure the regular 00, like these sword blades. You can just pop these off this. I'll just pop it off of his. You can separate the existing 7 sword blades, which are super cool. I love how those look. And put on this one. Right? Not actually done this with this set before. I think there's just paint in there, so it's a little tight. I've not done this before because I do not like this blade style. It's dumb looking to me. But you can do that. And it also comes with 2 replacement knee bits. You just pop these off and put those on so that they're the white, and you can't store those blades on them. And then you have the regular 00 version, if that interests you. Obviously, since the time that they released the 7 Sword, they have released the regular 00, and so that's not really necessary, but they came with it. I think that is all the accessories. So we can kind of go into the figures more. They're pretty identical. This figure is a really decent quality, and I think does compare pretty favorably to the official Bandai releases. There will be some differences, which I don't know if you can tell them on camera, but in person it is pretty apparent that all of this red plastic is unpainted plastic. It's just been molded in the color they wanted it and left it, and it's a pretty even, smooth finish. There's not like swirling in it, but where all of the blue on the Bandai effort is painted, and it does look just a little bit better. The white main body I don't think is painted on these. Maybe it is in some places. It actually does look more painted than I thought it was. So it does look pretty good. It's a brighter white. This is slightly more, a couple of shades darker towards a gray. But despite the lack of paint, it actually looks pretty good. The price difference was pretty huge, and so I can take a little bit lack of paint on there for the price cut. Also, of course, Bandai hasn't done an ignition mode version of this figure. But let's compare some of his accessories really quick. What are these called? The GN Katars. It lacks a little bit of the panel lining. I'm not even sure if this is on camera because my angle is wrong. Let's see. Nope, focus on up close here. They're very similar. There's a slight difference in the paint there. It doesn't have that. But honestly, since I don't have the original 7 Sword to compare it against, I would almost guess that this matches the original version. And these paint differences are one of the ways that Bandai was trying to differentiate this new version from that original version. But yeah, it looks good. The plastic color's a little more blue, which is fine. I prefer blue to green, and it probably looks a little better with the red, I think. The handle slides out, just like the Bandai one, so you can hold it, and that's that. I don't know there's much more to say about that. If we start comparing these other GN swords, I'll just go ahead and slide that aside. Let's see if it focuses on it more readily if I zoom in. It has the same features where this thing flips up, the blade can be turned. The handle can fold down because this can have a gun form, I guess. This is a little loose. I might be prying it off on accident. Anyway, articulation, same as that. This little bit comes off so that you can plug in the bendy wire. Just like on the Bandai version. And then you can shoot that off like a harpoon or something. So that's neat. You may have noticed, if you have sharp eyes, probably not because this is angled badly, and also it's out of focus. The difference here is this peg is missing from this one because it's not glued in, which I'm not, because it swivels on the Bandai one, it's also probably not glued in. But however it is that they have it attached, it stays in place on the Bandai figure. And on this figure, it gets stuck. And the peg part, come on, focus. The peg portion stays in his hip skirt. And that happens on both of these swords, and it's kind of annoying. And especially with the added annoyance of this hip skirt doesn't stay together. So there definitely are some quality shortcomings of the knockoff compared to the Bandai figure. I assume this should be an easy fix if I just drop a couple of dabs of glue in those tracks and stick it in place, then it will stay together. But it is interesting that it doesn't already do that. And both sides, the pegs on both swords fit too tightly into the hip skirts, and both hip skirts disassemble like that, which is not a problem I've had with either this version or the original Bandai 7 sword. So I guess the other comparison we should look at is the GN Buster sword, which is one of the reasons why I buy this figure in the first place. Because it's this huge, ridiculous sword that I'll actually have to zoom out a little bit for. And the knockoff. I think it looks really good. The more I look at it, the more I think the white is painted. And I do like the brighter white than this off-white. But the blue painted here definitely looks better than the plastic. It looks, I don't know, it just has that sort of flat look that the unpainted plastic has. Other than that, the functions again are identical. The handle extends and collapses. It can pull out to attach. It's got the expanding bits for shield mode and the movable handle. It looks nice. I like it. It weighs about the same. It's pretty clearly a direct copy. So figure-wise, again, the biggest differences that I found with these are the unpainted red plastic and that these hip skirts just don't stay together. And that part of the problem is that they're so stiff to move on this joint that I'm always continually popping that piece off. The articulation is the same, the metal frame, the interior frame is the same. The tightness of the joints is good. Some of them are a bit tight. Zoomed in a lot. Tightness of some of the joints is a little too tight, but it's not difficult to get imposed and balanced, and everything stays where you put him. The original 7 sword was getting a bit old, and the hips were getting a little bit loose, which this figure does not suffer from, and neither does the reissue or second version, whatever they call this 7 sword G. It does have this fancy dancy gun, This has a super tight joint back here. This one is significantly more snug to move than that, much smoother. But anyway, this figure that I'm reviewing, which is actually the red one, is pretty great. And again, because Bandai has not released a red one, I didn't have any problem buying this and being quite happy with it. Despite its shortcomings, it was pretty cheap. I think I paid about $80 shipped for it. I bought it right before they announced the pre-order for the new blue 7 sword. Had that been announced and I had it on pre-order, I probably would have skipped this. But I'm glad I didn't. It would have been better, I guess, to wait, because I've noticed lately that the price seems to be dropping. Nobody seems to want this. GundamModelCenter.com, the site that I ordered this from, has it for $60 or $65 right now, so it's even cheaper. I mean, for any sort of a metal build figure, that's a great price. They have a knockoff of the original 7 sword, not with the gun yet. That's $110. And that thing would be totally worth that price. Although maybe that's where I was thinking the white was not painted on the blue knockoffs. I don't know, I don't own those. Anyway, this is a pretty great figure. I'm really excited to have this. This was one of the things I was pretty excited most to get last year. Oh, there was one other big quality problem I had with this thing, and that is these sword grip hands with just the straight grip. This one, the fingers popped out. It's a single. This bit here is a single piece, and it wasn't glued in strong enough. So I tried to put in, one of the swords. I don't remember which one. In his hand, and they just broke what little glue was on there and popped off, and I had to re-glue it myself. But the other hands have all held together fine, and I haven't had any major issues with this set other than that and those hip skirts. So if the 00 suit is a design you like, which I love the suits from 00, if you like the red, which I think looks really good next to the blue, and you don't mind buying a knockoff, particularly of a figure Bandai technically hasn't made, this is a great buy, and I recommend. Alright, I was going to set up one last pose before I signed off, and noticed that I hadn't really actually ever tried doing much with this big sword, but these joints are tight, stiff. That sword is not leaning on his shoulder. He's holding it up all by himself. There, it kind of twisted the wrist, but his arm did not really fall much. I had it better before where it was balanced, so it wasn't pulling in any particular direction. The hand doesn't hold it quite as tightly as I'd like, but there you go. It is, sword is unsupported. You can hold it straight up, and that's cool. So, again, thanks for watching. This is a great figure. I really liked it. Really pleased to get it.